Good morning, everyone. My name is Scott Young from Optrics Engineering, and with me we have our Technical Services Manager, Sean Story. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
And this is another edition of the Optrics Insider. Today's three topics include Facebook phishing domains. The second is 3.2 billion email and passwords were leaked this weekend, and Microsoft has an emergency fix that you need to apply. All right, let's start with Facebook phishing domains.
So one of the things that we've been telling people over the years is that you need to educate your end users, or as it's called in the industry, layer 8. And one of the ways of doing that is to do simulated phishing attacks. So Proofpoint and Wombat Security, they provide a cybersecurity training solution, and that includes sending what look like emails claiming to be from Facebook or Instagram. And these domains then, if you click on the link in the domain or in the email, the domain that you go to is not Facebook or Instagram. It's one managed by Proofpoint and Wombat Security that says, oh, you've fallen for a simulated phishing attack, and you need to educate yourself as to why did you fall for this. Okay. Well, the domains that they use, factbook-login.com and instagarn.net, etc. Facebook is saying that those domains look too similar to its trademark terms, Facebook and Instagram, so you can't use them. They're trying to take them from Proofpoint and Wombat Security, and so Proofpoint and Wombat Security are suing Facebook.
Yeah, I wonder what the rules are. If it's confusing, like I know with trademark law, it's copyright law, it's pretty in depth, and I think confusingly similar comes to mind. So it'll be interesting to see how successful Proofpoint and Wombat Security are in suing Facebook. Good luck.
Yeah. So the sites that Proofpoint and Wombat Security run actually say on them, this site belongs to Proofpoint Security Awareness Training. But Facebook said, oh no, this looks deceptively similar.
Right.
So, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yes, I know. It's a crazy world out there. Okay, let's talk about 3.2 billion, emails and passwords were leaked.
Yeah, so this one is just fairly recent, and the details are still coming out, but 3.2 billion email addresses and the passwords for those email addresses were posted online in a data breach. So it wasn't that it's a site like Have I Been Pwned, where it's put in your email address and will tell you if this email address has been compromised, but not give you the password. This is all of the passwords. They mentioned platforms such as Netflix, Gmail, LinkedIn, many more. Apparently, 70% of the global internet users are included in this breach.
So it sounds like a chance that it affects all of us, including us, if we have Netflix accounts and if you have and Gmail accounts and all that stuff, great stuff. So if you haven't changed your passwords in a while, it would be a good idea to change them. And I think as a general rule, I know for desktops and some of the programs that we use, we get alerts to enforce us to change them every 90 days.
Correct. Stronger solution would be to use a password manager.
Right.
And that password manager then could have a 16-character long random password that nobody could just absolutely guess, and it would be unique for every site. So you wouldn't log into Netflix or Gmail or LinkedIn with the same password, because if you did, and any one of those has been released in this breach, then every one of those sites has likely been compromised as in what's called a credential stuffing attack.
Could you explain that for a little bit?
So if we find out that Scott Young, for example, uses, password 123 on his Gmail account, way we can take that Gmail account and we can go and try and figure out, what does Scott use as a banking site? Well, put in his Gmail email address and password 123, because if he used it at one place, it's likely that he's used it in another place.
And I think the reason for that is because people are like, I can't remember every password I have. Let's just have one common password. But a fair point to use a password manager to keep track of all the different passwords, and you should have a different password per site. Password manager can certainly help you with that. Plus, they also help generate random passwords, and you can even set them. The one I use is RoboForm, but the certain websites will say you need one uppercase, one lowercase, and a special character, and it has to be between 8 to 12 characters long. And so you could set your the password manager to generate something specific, so you don't have to sit there for 5 minutes and create a password that whatever the website says is acceptable. I know we've mentioned PSafe is another free one, I believe.
Password safe, yep.
Is one. Manage Engine has Password Manager Pro, which is good if you are a large organization that wants to manage passwords for multiple users. If you're a home user, password or PSafe, Password Safe, I think is free, isn't it?
Yes.
So that would be good for your home. But if you're looking for something that governs across your organization, then Manage Engine's Password Manager Pro certainly would be good. We'll put links below too. Excellent. Okay, let's talk about our final topic today. Let's talk about Microsoft's emergency fix. Pardon me.
We've always been telling people that it's important to keep your computers up to date, keep the patches, make sure that the drivers and everything are up to date, because that's what allows the hackers to get in, is they find software that hasn't been updated, and then they figure out a way to breach that software. So we use a lot of different tools to make sure that Windows is kept up to date and all the software is kept up to date. Well, in this case, being too up to date might have been the problem. Microsoft pushed out a patch, knowledge base 4601315, and this one was specifically around wireless and the Wi-Fi protected access 3 standard. Well, they have had to issue or reissue the patch to fix it, because it was causing crashes and blue screens or stop screens if you were trying to connect to a WPA3 access point. So thankfully, they've caught the problem, and thankfully it only applies to people who are already cutting edge and are using WPA3, which is the most secure wireless access. So, but it does point out that while you do want to stay up to date, you might not want to be, right up to date. Give it a week or two before pushing out the absolute latest updates, so that we can, it took them 3 days to update the patch that broke things to one that didn't break things. So hopefully that has solved the problem.
And if you're a large organization with where I'm where I'm going with this is, if you're a large organization, it's also good to have a test environment so that you can test the patch first before you roll it out across the across all of the computers.
Let the internet be your first level guinea pig, and then, because you have a unique environment, have certain ones within your organization that are that second layer of testing.
Right. Now, for those of you who have lots IT people that have lots of computers to update, there are a number of solutions out there that help patch, but the one that we usually recognize and recommend, I should say, is Manage Engine's Desktop Central. And it's actually a pretty popular tool that we've seen people use over and over, and it's something that we use internally. Now, when a new patch comes out, I would assume that it's Desktop Central is set up so that you have to approve the patch before it gets shipped out. It doesn't automatically just update all the computers.
It's flexible, and you can configure it so that patches are automatically approved but don't apply for 10 days.
Right.
And that would give you that time to keep your ear to the ground and say, oh, patch, in this case, ending in 1315 is not a good one. Let's make sure we disapprove or deny that one for being installed.
Sure. And that way you let it season for a bit, let the bugs get worked out.
Yep.
And good enough. Right on. Anything else you'd like to add or include there, Sean?
No, that's it for today.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks, Sean, for your insight as per usual. And as always, if you enjoyed today's episode, please share, like, and subscribe. It's also on Spotify and podcasts all around the world as a podcast, so you can listen to it at that as well.
And as
Thanks.
Andreas says, if you subscribe, you'll always sit in the front row.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one. I like it. All right. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Bye-bye.